Hey guys, what's up? So for the first time in a very long while on this channel, I'm gonna be reviewing a figure from a franchise other than Dragon Ball. Having said that, it's still a Figuart, and it's actually the first Figuart I decided to get from the Star Wars line. Some of you might know that I also collect the Black Series Star Wars figures, and for those of you who do know, this review probably isn't too much of a shocker. Anyway, this time we're going to be taking a look at the chosen one himself, the Jedi poster boy of the Clone Wars, SH Figuarts, Anakin Skywalker. Alright, so first off, I just want to touch on the box. Holy crap, is it ever small. And I mean, it's not a huge figure to begin with, but I'm just so used to seeing the standard box size for the Dragon Ball line, as well as things being much more colorful and brighter for the most part. And I mean, I don't have my nice looking background with different boxes laid out here, of course, because it's my only Star Wars SH Figuart figure from that line. Anyway, here he is out of the package, and right off the bat, I gotta say it's quite the cool figure. I mean, I think anyone who had some vague idea of what Star Wars was should be able to recognize the character right off the bat here. And rightly so, as I feel Bandai nailed the color scheme and chose the perfect shades of brown, black, and flesh tone for the figure. Not that it should have been that hard in the first place, because I mean, they've gotten figures like Majin Buu and whatnot done already, right? Alright, so starting with the head, we should address the obvious. The likeness for Hayden Christensen's facial features are just not that great at all. But as an Anakin Skywalker in general, it gets the job done. I love the attention to detail, choosing the right shades for the flesh tone and pinks to really make the faceplate seem that much more detailed as opposed to drab and flat. They even got Skywalker's scar with just the right touch of pink to show the scarring very nicely. Now in terms of the hair sculpt, I'm actually quite happy with the way things turned out. I mean, it could have been very easily one-dimensional and boring, but maybe it's because my first Star Wars SH Figuart, but the hair looks very much like it could actually be a real hairstyle, which it was at one point. Now moving our way down to the body again, attention to detail is fantastic, as all the wrinkles and lines sculpted into the ropes help to give the figure some more character, and I even love the soft, faux leathery feel the material has in the black parts. I think the only thing that could have really made this figure pop and a bit better is if they had the chrome and gold parts, just pop that much more to look a little bit more metallic and, pristine in terms of the metal. Now, other than that, the legs are very much the same, very satisfactory, with the only area possibly needing some love being the boots. Just maybe having a deeper sculpt or slight shading differences to make the boots look a little less Black Series-ish. All in all, in terms of the figure's likeness to Hayden Christensen's Anakin Skywalker, I give this a 7 out of 10. Everything is there except for the facial features, which is probably the one thing you want to nail if you're coming out with a movie figure. But I guess that's what Hot Toys is for, right? Alright, so in terms of articulation, you guys know me by now. I normally don't touch on it unless there's something new to talk about, and in this case there sort of is, because this is the first Star Wars Figuarts review I'm doing. I just wanted to mention that how much more and how great the added articulation of the Figuart is over the Black Series, perhaps most notably in the torso articulation alone. It's very smooth and you don't have to fight with it as much as you do for some of the other Black Series figures. And of course the figure is much more balanced. It doesn't topple over as easily as some of the other Black Series figures, even after you got them in poses. Just for example, look how far up this guy can look and still stand without much trouble there. Alright, so in terms of hands and faces, we get a nice range here. We get a total of 3 face plates. The first being the one that it comes with by default, the kind of stern slash angrier than usual looking face right there. And then to play off that, we've also got an even angrier face here. And for me, for some reason, I feel like this one's a little bit off. I don't know. I feel like they were trying to figure out how far they could take this expression to really kind of keep Hayden Christensen's likeness, but in my opinion, they went a little bit too far. However, as the general expression, it really does get the job done. Now, this last face is probably my favorite, and it depicts Anakin when he turns to the dark side and becomes Darth Vader shortly after maiming Coach Carter and becoming Palpatine's apprentice. I think the change in the light side eyes is very well done here, and maybe with the only desire I have being with the pupils, it would have been cool to have the contrast between the yellow and red fieriness of the eyes be a little bit more apparent, but again, it still gets the job done. Now, of course, we also get a total of 6 hands for this figure as well. We've got a fist for both hands there, both the bare and robotic, as well as some open hands slash grasping hands for the lightsaber, and you can also use these as a force choking hand, and then you've got open hands for each hand as well, using force push or whatever else you want it to be set up doing. Alright, so in terms of actual accessories, we don't get too much, but we get what we all love Star Wars for, and that's the lightsaber. I really like how they've included an activated as well as a deactivated version, or just the hilt. And if you're a Star Wars fan, you know that the hilt of a lightsaber determines who its owner is. Unfortunately, Bandai knocked the sculpt of Anakin's out of the park. Paint is there, the detail is clean, all the little divots and buttons in the sculpt are present, so great job on that. Now in terms of the actual blade, I think this is where the only real difference comes into account, as it's notably thicker than the blade of the lightsabers on the Star Wars Black Series line. I wouldn't say it's too noticeable when placed beside each other though, but just an observation. So lastly, I just want to throw a little bit of a size comparison at you to answer the question of can you actually use this guy with your Black Series figures? Well, with Obi-Wan and Vader standing next to him, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say yes, you can. The proportions between these guys is about right. While it may not be perfect with some other Black Series figures, I think you can justify him fitting in with your display. Alright guys, so SH Figuarts Anakin Skywalker, what did you think of him? Did you pick him up? Are you a Star Wars fan? I'm assuming you are if you're watching this, and me, I'm for one glad that I picked this guy up because I missed out on a Black Series Anakin, and after his aftermarket prices are just way too high to justify, I didn't think I'd be picking him up anytime soon. Alright guys, well if you tuned into this one, thanks again. I know it's a little bit different than my usual content, but you know what I always say, may the best of your days be the worst every tomorrow's. Peace.